Joining us now as we head into the summer season in the next week or two. Great time to welcome our guest, who is, you've seen him on PBS for his television show. He's also written a lot of books about barbecuing, and this one is called Project Smoke, 7 Steps to Smoked Food in Nirvana. We're joined today by Stephen Raichlen on the telephone. And Stephen, good to talk with you. How are you?
Great to talk with you.
Yeah, good to have a chance to chat with you a few minutes. Now, I don't know a lot about barbecuing, particularly smoking food. I've seen the big smokers down here in our area in Florida, so it's getting to be quite popular, I understand.
Smoking is the new grilling. You know, so many people are getting a smoker as their second grill. In fact, more than 18 million grills and smokers were sold last year.
That many? Wow, I didn't realize that many had been out there. You see, like you said, quite a few down here, people doing their own small businesses for barbecuing. Now, what's the actual difference between barbecuing and smoking, or are they virtually the same?
Well, there are 3 different but related processes, all of which involve live fire. So grilling is done directly over the fire. It's a high-heat method, quick cooking method. What you grill are steaks, burgers, chicken breasts. These are foods that cook quickly. True barbecue is indirect in that the food is cooked next to, not directly over the fire. And you always use wood smoke with true barbecue. Now, all barbecue is smoke, but not all smoked foods are barbecue. Mm-hmm. For example, smoked salmon or smoked cheese or bacon. These are smoked foods, but they're not true barbecue.
And just kind of reading through the book and some of the notes, this was started, I guess, goes all the way back to, what, the mid-1700s, right, or late 1700s? George Washington did
well,
this.
George Washington was a big barbecue fan, used to write about it in his diaries all the time. And, back in the 18th century, a man's wealth was measured in part by how many hams hung in his smokehouse.
Yeah, I didn't realize it went back. I thought, obviously back then there were great stoves, so you had to kind of barbecue just by necessity, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, also, another important thing about smoking is that it's a primary method for preserving food. And, if you think about it, most of human history, except the last 100 years, people have not had refrigerators. So they had to learn to cure meats, smoke meats, salt meats, preserve meats in order to keep them for extended periods.
You mentioned earlier wood smoke is, I guess, the primary fuel, I guess. Is that right? Wood makes the best smoke?
Well, wood is the primary fuel for smoking, and certainly in American barbecue, Texans use oak. In the South, they use hickory. In the Pacific Northwest, they use alder. But people smoke with many materials around the world. For example, in Italy, they like to smoke mozzarella and other cheeses with hay. And in China, they use black tea and brown sugar and rice to smoke duck.
Does this type of wood you use, does that affect the taste then? You can tell if you're a connoisseur of smoked food, you can tell by how it tastes by what fuel was used? Well,
for certain woods you could. For example, mesquite has a very strong, pronounced flavor, and you can spot a mesquite smoked meat a mile away. For other woods, the differences are a little bit more subtle. When you smoke with apple or cherry, for example, it's not like you get an apple flavor or a cherry flavor. Mm-hmm. But what matters more than the specific variety of wood is how you use it. And the whole key is to dose it gradually, little by little. You want to add smoke every 40 minutes to 1 hour. If you have a Y chromosome like we guys do, your impulse is to say, well, okay, if you're going to do a little bit by little over 8 hours, let's all add it all at once right at the beginning. And you do not want to do that.
It always seems like when you have barbecue this time of year, mostly for most people outside, it's cooked, that meat tastes better when it's cooked that way or cooked outside. I don't know if that's psychological, but it seems that way. Is that true?
Oh, absolutely. Eating outdoors, and another great appeal of barbecue is you get to eat it with your bare hands. So that combination of eating outdoors and eating with your bare hands, man, that takes you right back to caveman times.
Well, this book not only gives you tips on how to set up your barbecue, your smoker, but a lot of great recipes as well, 100 in the book as well. And I guess ribs probably the primary thing people smoke. I guess that's, or at least the one most people think of, but so many types of meat. There's really no meat that you can't do on a smoker, right?
There is no meat or seafood or poultry you can't do, but what's really interesting to me are some of the foods that you don't normally associate with smoking, but that are delicious smoked. For example, you can smoke eggs to make smoked deviled eggs. You can smoke tortilla chips to make smoked nachos. I have a whole chapter on smoked desserts, starting with a bacon bourbon apple crisp and going through smoked cheesecake and even smoked ice cream. You can even smoke cocktails.
How do you do that? In a glass, you pour your favorite beverage, or how does that work?
Well, what you do, you use a device called a handheld smoker. One example is a smoking gun. It looks like a pistol, but you fuel it with hickory chips instead of bullets, and you fire out wood smoke. It goes through a rubber tube right into your cocktail shaker. You cover the shaker with plastic wrap, let the smoke infuse in the drink, give it a shake, and I guarantee you, until you've tasted my Smoky Mary, my Smoky Twist on a Bloody Mary, you have nothing.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I didn't realize you could do that. And you mentioned earlier about the different types of smokers you can get. I know you have a section in the book on where you can get it. Give a tip or two. People maybe not too familiar what to buy. What should you look for, or where should you go?
Well, there are many different types of smokers, and if you're a more process-oriented person that enjoys building a fire and playing with fire, good smokers, a good starting-level smoker might be a pit barrel cooker or a Weber Smoky Mountain. If you like more convenience-oriented, you might enjoy an electric smoker like a Bradley electric smoker or a pellet smoker. It's a very automated process for these.
Yeah, good information there, and I guess go online. You can find the different outlets in your area, but do a little research. Well, but it looks like it's a lot of fun to do it once you get involved.
It really is. And speaking of online resources, my website is barbecuebible.com. That's BARBECUEBIBLE.com. And we have a free bi-weekly newsletter. We send out a free recipe of the week. There's a forum. Always lots of information on smoking, the techniques, the tools you use. The recent blog is about all the smokers we have on my Project Smoke TV show, which airs on PBS.
Right, PBS show. You can catch Stephen on there as well. Again, the name of the book is called Project Smoke, 7 Steps to Smoke Food Nirvana. And Stephen, great to talk with you again. Give out that website one more time. People can get more information on the book.
It is barbecuebible.com. That is BARBECUEBIBLE.com.
Great. Stephen, pleasure talking to you. Hopefully we can do it again. Thanks for being with us today.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you.
I'm Stan Brock. 30 years ago, I formed Remote Area Medical to help people overseas. But then we found generations of families in America isolated by poverty from the health care they need. Together, we can take dental, vision, and medical help to 1 million adults and their kids, right here at home in the United States of America.
If you'd like to order the book we're talking about, please go to DougMilesMedia.com and enter the author's name in the Amazon search box. Thank you for listening. Please come back soon for more conversations here at DougMilesMedia.com. This has been a presentation of Doug Miles Media, all rights reserved. You can listen to or download previous programs at iTunes, Stitcher.com, or Doug Miles Media.